Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent Makori and this is Africa 54. We begin in East Africa where some 10,000 South Sudanese refugees have fled north into Sudan as hundreds of thousands remain displaced in the nearly month-long conflict. The UN Refugee Agency says thousands more are sleeping and cooking in the open at a camp in Turale in the northern part of South Sudan. Toby Lanza, the UN humanitarian coordinator in South Sudan, says the focus now is on emergency relief. Meanwhile, negotiators at peace talks being held in Ethiopia continue to press the two sides to agree to a ceasefire. Rebel leader Riek Machar's demand for the release of detainees remains a stumbling block to a deal aimed at halting violence. President Salva Kiir has up to now refused to release 11 detainees arrested in December in an alleged coup plot. And now, Gabe Joselow, VOA's East Africa correspondent, is in South Sudan and now joins us via phone from Bor, the capital of Jonglei. Gabe, describe for us a little bit the situation as you've witnessed it in South Sudan.
Hi, Vincent. Actually, just so you know, I'm across the river from Bor in a town called Minkaman. We're about 25 kilometers away. But what we're seeing here are a lot of people who have fled from the fighting that took place in Bor over the last month or so. People who have seen a lot of their families killed, people who left with nothing but the clothes on their back, coming across the river here, seeking some amount of peace and security, and hoping that there'll be a peaceful resolution soon to the crisis.
Now, things have been going on amid the talks in Addis Ababa. What do people tell you? Is there a change for the better, or are things getting just worse?
People are really frustrated with the pace of those talks and the lack of progress. A lot of people here, especially at this camp, you're seeing a lot of people who are displaced Dinka who blame Riek Machar, the rebel leader, for holding up progress in the talks. I spoke to Machar yesterday, who said he would not agree to the peace deal presented by African mediators until the political detainees were released. And he also complained about reports that the Ugandan military has been helping out the South Sudanese army, especially in the battle for Bor, which remains one of the rebels' key strongholds.
From what you're hearing on the ground, is this a division between two ethnic groups? Or just clarify for us what's going on in South Sudan.
Yeah, there is an undeniable rift between the two ethnic groups. The Dinka that are the same ethnic group of President Salva Kiir and the Nuer, who are aligned with Mr. Machar. I've been to camps where in the capital where it was all Nuer who had felt they had been targeted by Dinka, and then here in the camp where I'm standing now, it's the exact opposite situation. So nobody's really coming out the clear winner here. There's just been a lot of violence, and the people who on the ground that suffer the most.
Now, what are the humanitarian agencies saying? Are they coping with those numbers? Are people getting all they need?
They're doing what they can here. We're seeing a major water project. They're right on the Nile. Oxfam is providing some water purification systems that are reaching a lot of the people here. But it's a huge number. There's more than 80,000 displaced in this area. So it's a huge need, and the question is, how long will this last? If there isn't a real peace deal, this could go on for several months. You could have people living really with nothing.
Well, definitely we'll be watching the developments there and looking out for your reporting. Thank you very much, Gabe. Gabe Joselow is VOA's East Africa correspondent. He joined us from close to Bor in South Sudan. Now, as we've mentioned, many South Sudanese have taken refuge at United Nations bases across the country. Once again, here's VOA's Gabe Joselow.
Nearly 400,000 displaced, and the numbers keep growing. The conflict in South Sudan, rooted in a power struggle between the president and his chief rival, has taken the hardest toll on civilians. About 20,000 people have taken refuge here at a UN base in the capital, Juba. The fighting has spared no one. Many here at the camp come from the city's middle class and have left behind their homes and jobs in government. Paul Kat Joak is an officer in South Sudan's army, the SPLA.
Well, I will stay here as long as there is no peace. Yeah. The peace will determine how long will I stay here.
Almost all here are Nuer, the ethnic group of former Vice President Riek Machar. whose split with President Salva Kiir, a Dinka, ignited interethnic killings across the country. Engineer Michael Gatluak says he is afraid there could be more attacks.
The situation is not safe. Even now, we think maybe will be an attack because we don't know what's going outside. Because if you see here in the camp, all these people, they are from one tribe only. They are Nuer. So this is the issue.
Aid agencies are trucking in water and food and stepping up immunization campaigns to help meet the growing needs. In a sign the camp may be here for some time, the UN Children's Agency is trying to set up classrooms for students to go back to school in February. Chief of Communications for UNICEF in South Sudan, Dune Porter.
So what we're doing is we're trying to find some space where we can set up places that children will be able to learn and also child-friendly spaces where children can play safely and be occupied. And there are also teachers here on the camp, and so we've been meeting with the teachers, trying to find a way so that when the school year begins, that there will be education for children.
The international community is pushing the warring factions to reach a peace deal, but with no immediate end to the fighting in sight, it will take time for those displaced to find their way home again. Gabe Joselow, VOA News, Juba.